I'm going to pretend I know how to Wingardium Leviosa, and we're going to explore if gamers actually played Hogwarts Legacy. And let me tell you, what we find out surprises even me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am BD, and this is Did Anyone Play? A series where we investigate, analyze, and determine the truth about how much gamers have actually played a game like Hogwarts Legacy. How do we do this? We use trophy and achievement milestones within games, and then compare those results to an ever-growing database to evaluate and rank games compared to the rest of the industry. Using objective data and statistical comparisons, we can draw conclusions. We aren't reviewing the game in a traditional sense. Our goal is to provide analysis that can be better used to understand player preference while ignoring game sales and hype to ensure we see reality as it truly is. Please drop a like or a sub to the channel if you want more of these types of videos. We're just starting out, so anything you can do is very much appreciated. And a quick spoiler warning, as we may be talking about some elements of late game progression. So let's find out if anyone actually played Hogwarts Legacy on Steam, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox. Remember that all percentages we'll be talking about here come from the total number of players that actually launched and or played the game, not bought the game. So these results are a full reflection on how players played Hogwarts Legacy. The first milestone that players will reach is the Sort Who Make an Entrance. This milestone is achieved when the player completes the game introduction and finishes the sorting ceremony where you pick your house. So how many players made it through this introductory scene for Hogwarts? On PlayStation 4, 91.3% reached milestone 1. For Steam, it was 95.6%. Xbox reached 81.1%. And for PlayStation 5, it was 88.9%. So let's pause here for a second. So Steam starts off real strong. PlayStation 4 and 5 are about even, and Xbox is lowest. Here's a quick look in graph form. And I've put the database average up there so you can look at it. All the results for Hogwarts are higher than the database average, and all platforms are showing pretty good results here. One thing to note is how we almost have a 15% difference between Steam and Xbox, the highest and lowest at milestone 1. That's quite a difference, but it gets even more interesting as we go along. So what is Hogwarts Legacy? It's an action role-playing game set in the wizarding world of Harry Potter fame. You control a student joining in at the School of Hogwarts, and you go to class, learn magical spells, and work to unearth an ancient secret. It has a fully realized Hogwarts and an open-world surrounding area to explore. It was developed by Avalanche Software and published by Warner Brothers. Hogwarts Legacy released for PS5, Steam, and Xbox in February of 2023, and for PlayStation 4 in May of 2023. The second milestone all players would likely reach is called First Class Student. This is awarded after you attend your first class at Hogwarts, and a player will have already gotten familiar with their chosen house before this. Let's see where players are after this. So for Xbox, we have 79.8% of players reaching this milestone, while on PlayStation 4 and 5, we see 84.9% make it, and for Steam, it's 92.1%. It's a great hold for all platforms, and the game clearly keeps players invested to this point in the story. So it's always good to understand the competition a game was up against when it launched. What was happening around February 10th, 2023 in the gaming world? Well, titles like Dead Space Remake, Forspoken, and Like a Dragon Ishin came around about this time. Looking at Google Trends, we see that Hogwarts in Blue is dominating the competition at that time. So competition was weak and hype for Hogwarts was very strong. There was a bit of controversy about the author of Harry Potter at that time, and that likely added to the hype we see here. We like to pick a mid-game milestone for our third marker. For Hogwarts, we chose That's a Keeper. This is awarded for beating Charles Rookwood in the map chamber. This is about the 20th story mission, and the player has to complete a trial to hit this trophy. How many players are left at this point in the game? For Xbox, it's 75.8%. Steam has 68.6% left. For PlayStation 4, it's 54.9%, and for PS5, it's 64.2%. Once again, these numbers aren't too bad. But the big thing to call out here is that Xbox has, again, an amazing hold, and at this point has kept the largest percent of players. That's really impressive. How did Hogwarts Legacy do with critics? Well, Metacritic for PlayStation has it at 84 out of 100. Xbox was 85, so a good score there. And for Steam, the reviews show very positive recent and all-time, with over 180,000 reviews. These are really good and shows that the reception for the game was largely positive one. The most important milestone is our fourth one. This is for completing the main story and what we will ultimately base our final score on. It definitely shows how many players finished the game and truly played Hogwarts Legacy. This milestone is called the Hero of Hogwarts and is awarded for completing the final battle with Ranrock. Where do our platforms end up? Well, on Xbox, 43% of players completed the game. PS5, it was 34.9%, Steam was 30.8%, and PS4 reached 23.1%. Let's pause here since we reached the end of the game. We want to check the percentage of players that quit each platform after making it through the first milestone but failing to reach the game completion. Here you can see that Xbox is crushing the other platforms. Not only is it way better than the database average, no other platform comes close to as well as Xbox is doing. Hogwarts really seems to resonate with Xbox players. Steam and PS5 are also doing better than average, but by a slimmer margin. PS4 is worse, and that could be because it released a number of months after the other platforms. Finally, to get a feel on how completion is treated this game, the rare milestone 5 chosen for Hogwarts is called Collector's Edition. This milestone is a heavy lift as players have to complete all collections, which in total is over 600 items. How many players achieve this rare milestone? 1.7% of players on Xbox, 2.8% on PS5, 1.9% on Steam, and 0.9% on PS4. Those are the numbers, but we can make it a bit easier on the eyes. Here are the raw milestones for our platforms, and we've also added the database averages for each milestone in gray for comparison purposes. Let's get into it. Hogwarts starts off strong right here off the bat. Strongest on Steam and weakest on Xbox, but we will see that changes actually pretty quickly. Moving on to milestone 2, Hogwarts has a great hold on all platforms as we nearly have a straight line for some platforms, but milestone 3 is where Xbox bucks the trend in an amazing way. This is what surprised me the most. Look at that flat line. Barely any players lost between milestone 2 and milestone 3 for Xbox, bringing them into the lead across platforms. Hogwarts hit the best kind of nerve there with Xbox players. As we trend down to finishing the game, Hogwarts still so strong and well above average for almost all platforms. So that's our final tally for Hogwarts Legacy milestones. But now let's see how Hogwarts stacks up against all other games in our database and find out if anyone truly played this game. We use milestone 4 as our ultimate ranking target. Here are the results for each of the platforms for milestone 4 once again. It's time to reveal the final score Hogwarts Legacy has in our database. Here we go. For Xbox, we're at an amazing 9 out of 10. Steam has a solid 7 out of 10, and PS5 hits even higher at 8 out of 10. And PS4 is average, 5 out of 10. Hogwarts Legacy is hitting high marks on almost every platform, and on Xbox, nearly everyone played it. So those are the scores. But let's see if we can tease out some other observations by looking at these results in different ways. It's time for the deep dive. Let's start with progressive player loss. Each milestone shows how many players have stopped playing the game at that particular point. Xbox shows losses right out of the gate, but you can see quickly that the larger losses come from PS4 over the course of the game. PS5 ends up with the best hold for the rarest milestones. Moving on, we can look at milestone player retention. This calculation only takes into account the player population loss as a percentage compared to the previous milestone. What you see here is that except for milestone 1, Xbox has the best hold by far. Milestone 3 is particularly exceptional. We really haven't seen this before and it's really impressive. So how about completionists? How did the rarest milestones shake out on the different platforms? PS5 takes honors here, with Steam and Xbox doing fairly well. PS4 brings up the rear. Finally, we check on early versus late game retention. When you see a chart like this, the best performers are further away from the center of the circle. Early game, Steam is the strongest, and Hogwarts results are literally pushing off my graph. For the end game, Xbox really shines with the other platforms nicely separated. Finally, for completionists, we see PS5 edge out the rest as the most dedicated platform for Hogwarts. Let's take one final look at all platforms and their milestone 4 results, but this time we show the full percent rank within our database. This is to give you a detailed view of how rankings played out. Use this data as you will. So let's wrap this up. What are our major takeaways from all the data? All platforms performed strong for Hogwarts. It was clearly a game that held players' attention, Xbox players especially. I can't explain why Xbox is so strong for Hogwarts Legacy when we've seen it be the weakest for so many other games, but it's great to see. Putting aside platform results, Hogwarts was a hit, as we saw above average retention for players throughout the game and a very strong finish. The only platform that struggled a little was PS4, and it's likely that comes from being released later than the rest. It just took enough edge off the newness of the game to perform at an average level compared to the other platforms. Hogwarts Legacy is a great game. The way that Hogwarts as a location was so accurately represented and realized within the game created an environment that clearly captivated gamers, whether they probably liked the Wizarding World or not, and kept them playing through the entire story. It's a testament to how much love and effort the developers put into this game that it's so highly rated in our database. It's a great foundation for future sequels, and we can't wait to see how those perform. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to do all the YouTube support stuff. I'd love to read any comments you have down below. What conclusions did you all take from this data? And of course, feel free to suggest the next game we should look at to determine if anyone played it. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.